Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm sitting inside today and I thought I would film a little bit of a different video than my usual kind of garden with me's and weekly vlogs, and I thought I would just sit down and have a little bit of a catch up with you, answer some questions and kind of have this more as like a podcast style video. I really wanted to do this for a while now, but I really wanted to find some way to engage with you and my audience a little bit more, where I can kind of sit down and answer some questions rather than just reply in the comments. I can actually just sit down and talk through some of the questions that I get, what my plans are, what I'm growing at certain times of the year, and kind of just change this into a little bit more of like an audio version of content, if you know what I mean. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I also had a podcast with Diane from Diane and Samson, where we kind of just talked all about gardening and homesteading. And although that has now finished up, I really wanted to continue to just make some audio content, whether this actually turns into a podcast itself or, I don't know, something else. We'll see. I have a few little plans, but nothing set in stone yet. But for today, I thought I would just sit down and do a little bit of a Q&A with you all. Now, I do look a little different than my other videos. I have chopped off all of my hair, or most of my hair, because it was just getting way too heavy and way too difficult to actually just do like physical labor around. It was too long and really unhealthy. So I'm starting from scratch and I'm going to take better care of it this time. But anyway, you didn't come here to listen to me talk about hair. We're going to talk about gardening and the flower farm and just a few things that I'm working on right now, while I answer some regular questions that I get and some questions that have popped up on my YouTube videos lately. We're going to chat about all that. So for these videos, it's not mandatory, but I would highly recommend grabbing a cup of tea or coffee or some kind of beverage. Today I have a elderflower cordial with a little bit of fruit in it, a little bit of lemon and strawberry, because I'm feeling spring. I don't know if you can kind of tell. I was walking around in the garden before and I wasn't feeling my usual hot cup of tea or green tea, so choosing for a cold beverage today. Let me know what you're drinking while you're listening or watching to this little episode, and also probably grab a snack if you want. I would also probably recommend that too. So if you are new here, my name is Robin and I live here on the south coast of New South Wales with my partner and our two cats, one of which is just out of frame right now. He's asleep and I don't want to disturb him or move him. But yeah, I wish he was like a little bit further over so you could see how cute he is, but we'll just let him be for now. But I do run a small cut flower farm here where I sell flowers at local markets and garden centres. I also work as a bush regenerator a few days a week with Whitbird Environmental. And this is kind of coming into my second year of taking a bit of time off research. I recently completed my PhD looking at the impact of mining on ecosystem services, particularly those that are valued in Indigenous communities in Cape York, which was amazing. I learnt a lot and had so many fantastic experiences, but was completely burnt out after that. I suffered extreme burnout to the point where my body I couldn't really regulate my nervous system. So I'm taking a little bit of time to get a little bit more healthy and also just be outside and enjoy things that I love to do, which is gardening and flower farming, anything to do with like a backyard business I like talking about. So that's kind of what these episodes are going to be focused on, as well as just an opportunity for you to ask questions and we can chat about whatever topics you would like to talk about. So I have my laptop down here where I have all of my questions. So I'm going to read off that and we're going to step into the first question that I have received, which is, what are your flower farm goals for the rest of this season and like the 2023-24 season? Which for right now is to actually just get through the rest of the year selling flowers and make it through. If I can make it through by actually regularly selling flowers, I will be so proud of myself, and I think it's just an accomplishment in itself. I have gone through a few rocky patches this year, which I have shared all about on my Patreon channel. If you want to check out just some of the struggles that I've been going through, you can have a look over there, but I wanted to keep this just all related to gardening. So yeah, getting through the year and not actually giving up is definitely one of the main goals, as well as just to establish or finish establishing all of the flower beds in the flower farm. Right now, a lot of them have black plastic over them, and they have that's all I've done to the soil there. It used to all just be grass, so I'm trying to kill off the grass. It's kind of like the stage one of starting my garden beds. I like to do mainly no dig. I do kind of slightly till the soil with a broad fork, if you can call that tilling, which it's more just aerating the soil. But yeah, I definitely would like to get those finished. One of my goals is to be able to, for me personally, to be able to run at least 2 market stalls a month. So myself and Jeff from Whitbird Environmental, we share a market stall where each fortnight he will run a market. I'll also attend to that and help him set up, but he kind of will pack up and, be there for a few more hours than I am. And then currently I set up for another market, which is monthly, but I would like to add one more market on that I am setting up, which I do have plans for. And this month we're going to be trying out a new market. So if that one goes well, then we'll definitely continue going to that. Another goal is to make the website live that I had. I recently kind of put together a website on Squarespace, but I found it just wasn't really doing what I needed it to do. So I've now switched to Shopify. It's really user friendly and the website is almost done. I just need to take some photos of products and then have that live. And then my last goal that I have here is to consistently during the busy season, so coming up now in spring and summer, is to be making at least $200 per week from selling fresh flowers. So that doesn't include all of the bath salts and extra products that I would like to be selling, just includes flowers. I would really love that kind of $200 mark, would be really helpful and is a decent amount of money to be bringing in as kind of a side gig that I'm doing at the moment. I got another question on Instagram about where do I purchase compost and where's the best place to purchase compost, specifically between Sydney and the Shoalhaven area, which is where I live. And if you do have questions like this where you are living in this area, definitely DM me on Instagram and I can let you know where I get compost from. It doesn't really apply to, if you're watching this from the other side of Australia. But in general, I do like to go with local landscaping companies. That's what we really have, or it's all that we really have in this area, because we are a little bit more of a rural area. We don't really have a lot of options, and I usually go for something like mushroom compost, and there is always a risk that there might be something in there like some pesticide residue or you don't really know, honestly, what is in compost, but I do like to test out the compost first. One way you can do this is by planting like peas or beans or tomatoes or something in a pot with that compost. If you see that they're all not germinating well, or they start to get just something funky going on with their leaves, like leaf curling, it could be the compost, it could also be the seeds that you have, but just testing it out if you're really worried is a really good option to make sure that you're not going to be spreading that on your whole garden and then potentially compromising the growth of whatever you plant in there. I found mushroom compost here is a pretty good option, so that's what I go with. And you can always just ask the local landscaping company where they got it from, whether they know the specifics of what the ingredients are. You're more likely going to get that information from a smaller local company rather than the larger ones. Specifically, if they source the same thing again and again, you can check whether they get, all of their compost from one source. If they do, and they're not getting any bad reviews, then it's probably okay to use. Next question is about where I get my dahlia tubers from. And this year I've sourced from a few different places. The first one is Tesla, of which I already have all of the dahlia tubers from there. I am going to be doing a video on what tubers I'm growing, but I've also sourced from Southern Highlands Flower Farm as well as Florally. So the tubers from those last two companies have yet to arrive, but fingers crossed they will in the next few weeks. And then I could put a video together on all of the dahlias that I'll be growing. Similar to that question is, where do I get my seeds from? So I get a lot of my veggie seeds and herb seeds from Whitbird Environmental. I'm a part of the seed subscription that Whitbird Environmental has. I do get gifted these, so I just want to let you know that. But they are a really great price if you're interested in just getting 3 different packets of seeds each month. They're all tailored to that time of the year when you should be planting them and getting them in the ground. And it's just really great for me because I don't have a lot of time to be just sowing bulk veggies right now. I wish I did, but unfortunately I'm really focusing on all of the flowers because that's the business that I run. So getting just a few seeds per month makes it really manageable for me. So I have had good luck with all of the seeds from Whitbird Environmental, so I've been really happy with that. I also really love the seed collection. I think they're the best site for like beginner gardeners if you're interested in just buying some cheaper seeds which are good quality. And they have a really good range there, as well as veggie and flower garden seeds. These are a little bit more pricey and you do get less seeds, but they do have different varieties, some of which are a little bit more difficult to get, particularly some of the flowers. You either have to get them from here or a wholesaler, which is a lot more expensive because you have to buy in bulk. And usually for home gardeners, that's not the best option because I don't know, you probably don't need like 5,000 zinnia seeds. So yeah, I'd probably go with the seed collection or veggie and flower garden seeds if you are a beginner gardener or starting out a flower farm and just want to try different varieties. And then I also get seeds from High Sun and sometimes RP seeds. They're more wholesale and you get larger packets, so you do have to buy more. But for things like sunflowers and some other like greens like basil that I'll use, I do like to get them wholesale just because I need a lot more quantity of those seeds. The next question is really interesting, and I have had a few questions like this before about potting mix and how it's kind of difficult to know whether it's organic or not in Australia. Specifically, this person wanted to know, is the Searles Premium Organic Potting Mix organic certified? And I just want to start this conversation by saying I think that we really don't have the best standards in Australia. I think it can be really difficult to know what is and what isn't in the potting mix that you're buying. It's really, really vague. Sometimes it's really difficult to actually know what the contents is, whether the ingredients on it are like leaf mulch or bark or something like that. I like to know exactly where those leaves have come from, what kind of bark it is, and a little bit more information about the ingredients. If you are after certified organic, there's a few different certifications that you can look for. Specifically, the main one is ACO, which is Australian Certified Organic. If you see that on any potting mixes, they will be organic. But there is a difference between just organic and then certified organic. Organic pretty much means that it's like decomposing living matter. It was once alive and now it's decomposed. But certified organic means that it does have to go through different certification schemes to then actually have that on the product. And usually it's a little bit more expensive because it does cost these companies money to get that certification and get regular checkups to make sure they're following all of the different guidelines. Personally, I don't think there's too much of a difference if you can actually see the ingredients in potting mixes that say they're organic to certified organic, except the price. But the Searles Premium Organic Potting Mix has the certification. So yes, it is organic. There are other ones like the Debco Organic Potting Mix that I think you can find at Mitre 10. And Rocky Point also have some organic potting mixes if you are after ones that are certified. Currently, I don't buy certified organic potting mix for what I use because I need quite a large amount of it, but I do try and buy things that don't have too much slow release fertilizer in them, and I do prefer to add my own amendments like worm castings and compost when I can. But that being said, I still do have some potting mix which has some more like chemical based slow release fertilizers in them. You just got to do the best that you can. The next question relates to hydrangeas, and specifically what are the dark spots on hydrangea leaves? Should they be treated, or is cutting back the plant enough? So this question is like, I'm obviously a little bit late to answering it because I have since cut back my hydrangea, but I did share in a previous video me giving the hydrangea plant a really good trim, and on that there were a few little dark spots on the leaves. So this is the same for quite a lot of plants like your hydrangeas and azaleas and some other plants like that, but different things will cause dark spots on hydrangea leaves specifically, one of which can be overwatering. So you can just monitor how much water you're giving the plant, how does the soil feel around its roots. Another reason is the plant going into dormancy over winter, which is what I think the dark spots on the hydrangea that I had. I think that's basically what was the problem with mine, or a fungal disease, which could have also been a little bit of an issue given that the plant that I have doesn't receive a lot of sun as it goes into late summer and then into the winter months. The few years that we've lived here, I have seen that this happen every year. I give the plant a cutback, it comes back completely fine. So I don't think it's a really bad fungal issue because it seems to happen really late in the season when the plant is naturally starting to slow down a little bit and die back and then lose its leaves. But if you're worried about a fungal disease, you can give the plant a spray, and you could do this anyway. It's not going to harm the plant. You can use things like compost tea, apple cider vinegar mixed in and diluted with water. Garlic oil, I think, is one of them, as well as like soapy water and neem oil. I think you can also use that to combat some fungal diseases. So you could give some of those more natural remedies a try and see if that helps, specifically if you're getting these black spots as the plant wakes up, or kind of in its prime when it's flowering, and these black spots might prevent the plant from actually producing flowers. It just really depends on the impact that it's having on the plant. Another question was about my soil and whether I have had my soil tested after putting the black plastic over it, or whether worm castings and roost booster, which is just pelletized chicken manure, whether that's enough as amendments. So I shared last year that I had my soil tested and the results were really, really interesting. We have very, very acidic soils here, which can definitely prevent some plants from thriving. We also have very low chloride and phosphorus, both of which are essential nutrients for a plant to grow and photosynthesize, absorb moisture into the leaves. It can also cause yellowing of leaves and black spots on the leaves. So it could have also been related to the hydrangea. But basically, those are essential nutrients to photosynthesize. Now, obviously, I've done a test where some areas I haven't done anything, and definitely some of the plants are slower. I think that's just normal after you kind of solarize an area, don't really apply any amendments, and then plant directly into it. The beds that have done really well are those that I put homemade compost on. The plants have responded amazingly to that. I can just see in the foliage that they're so much more vibrant and green rather than the ones that don't have any amendments on them. One thing that I did do when I originally set up the flower farm down the back, on a lot of the beds I did put some mushroom compost on, and I did a pH testing of that prior to adding that to the garden and found that that was actually slightly more alkaline, which is good because our soil is very acidic. So I'm hoping that kind of balanced it out a little bit in terms of the pH. I could do like a whole video talking about soil health and the impact that pH can have on plants. If you would like a little bit more information on that, I do have a soil science background and spent many hours in the labs testing really toxic mine soil, which was very interesting. And thankfully, we don't have to deal with the pHs like that that I was working on in the garden. Thankfully, it's a little bit more neutral in the garden. But let me know if you'd like information on that. But basically, when it's too far either acidic or alkaline, the plants won't be able to uptake certain nutrients. So it is something that I'm definitely still thinking about. And in terms of phosphorus, I've been using things like cover crops to increase phosphorus production or availability for plants. I've also been adding some wood ash whenever we have like fires down the back. Blood and bone is really great for phosphorus, as well as like compost that has eggshells in it. Garden lime is another thing that I've been slowly adding, and over time I will keep adding all of these amendments, and we'll probably test in another year or so. It's definitely a slow and steady process to boosting my soil health. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that just worm castings and the rooster booster is going to be enough, but it is definitely probably helping with the phosphorus issues and potentially the chloride as well. Adding things like potash, which is basically potassium chloride, is going to be really beneficial to increase the chloride levels. It's really trial and error, and honestly, I'm never going to get it perfect, but I would rather just do this process a little bit more slow, because it doesn't cost as much, but also I can have plants in the ground and actually growing while I'm changing the soil health, rather than changing it really drastically, the acidity or any of the nutrients, which I'm probably not going to be able to grow plants in there while I change that at that rate. Hopefully that all made sense. Let me know if you have any more questions about that though. Another question I get is where I get my music from for YouTube videos. So I use Epidemic Sound. If you're a YouTuber or thinking about making YouTube videos, it's the best one in my opinion. I would highly recommend it. And I do have like a referral code, and I have a lot of different links in my description box if you want to check it out for discounts on things. And there is a little deal with Epidemic Sound if you use my referral link there, if you're interested in trying it out. To end this little episode off, I thought I would chat about my favorite YouTube channels that I'm watching now. I always love to share this, and I love knowing what other people are watching as well, so I can get inspiration and just kind of refresh my subscription feed. I always love finding new YouTube channels out there, so I thought I would share just a few of the ones that I have been loving lately. There's definitely more than this, but of the little amount of time I do get to watch videos, this is what I have been watching lately. If you're interested in more kind of flower farm content, these are some of the channels, one of which is Bear Flower Farm. Jessie has an amazing channel packed with information. I have just been listening to some of her videos on repeat just while I'm working in the garden, because she has a wealth of knowledge about anything to do with like starting a business in terms of a flower farm, market stalls, marketing, accounting, anything like that. You'll find really great information from her, as well as Sunshine and Flora. I love watching their videos. Brimwood Farm. Jeff has a market garden and a flower farm over in the UK, and I love how real his videos are. I really appreciate how much he shares with his audience, and just all of the ups and downs of farming. Probably one of my favorite flower farming channels is You Can't Eat the Grass. Ian and Serena have a flower farm in Canada, and their content is just brilliant. I really, really love how much effort they put into their videos. I always make sure to sit down on the weekend and like have a cup of tea and some lunch and watch their videos, because it's like my me time, and I love all of their videos. I've also been watching Tina from Woodstock Flower Farm. She's actually just down the road from me, and she's been making some more videos this year, and I'm very excited to see how her flower farm progresses over the next few months. She has like a U-pick flower farm on such a beautiful property. I definitely have to go for a visit there, I think. North Lawn Flower Farm, Danielle, has one of the most stunning gardens I've seen. If you're interested in hydrangeas, you have to watch North Lawn Flower Farm because she's just done some stunning gardens, and I wish we had some more of those beautiful hydrangeas in Australia. I've been loving her channel, as well as Kim from Honey Trail Farm. She's recently started like a market garden and flower farm, as well as Noble Flowers, Phaedra and Moronai, who have a flower farm in Victoria in a beautiful area, and I would also love to be able to visit that part of Australia one day. Their content is very real and very relatable, and I really appreciate how much effort they also put into their videos. More general kind of gardening content, I've been loving Katrina from Homegrown Garden, obviously also Garden Answer. I have periods where I will just binge watch all of Laura's videos, and specifically coming up to like their autumn and Christmas time, I love watching her content. Megan Hughes, if you're interested in more kind of lifestyle content, she's recently just bought a house in Vermont, I think, northern USA, and I've been watching her ever since I was a teenager, and yeah, she's a laugh. She's brilliant. The last two channels are Simple Living Alaska, one of the best channels for some stunning scenery, as well as Project Camp, which is a news channel that I've come across, and they're kind of creating this site where it's a little bit more community living, using permaculture values and living in a more sustainable way. I've been really loving their content, and it's great to see how many other people have been loving their content because they're doing really well as a YouTube channel, and I'm so glad because I really think they have some really great, valuable information there. So that was a lot, but I do just love YouTube. I think it's just the best platform, and I've met so many amazing people on here. So just wanted to refresh your subscription feed. If you need a few extra channels to follow, let me know if you end up following some of these people and what you think. And that kind of brings us to the end of this episode. I'm thinking of doing these monthly for now, but there may be some kind of podcast venture coming up. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to keep this on this channel and have it more as like a monthly catch-up update video where I can just chat through some questions, let you know what I'm up to. So for the next one, if you would like to leave any questions down below, otherwise I can just pull them from videos. So you can always just leave a comment and a question in any of my other videos. I've got a few really exciting things coming up, one of which is I'm going to be starting streaming on Twitch, which is it's very different to this garden community here. So I'm completely fine if you're totally not interested in it. But something I have been doing just to calm my nervous system and my brain that is constantly just overworking and anxious a lot of the time is to play some video games and kind of building that inner child in me, I suppose. I've been playing lots of Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Sims, just a lot of those kind of more cozy games, which I definitely prefer ones where you can have like farm simulations on them. So if you want to see my little flower farms and online worlds, then you can definitely check Twitch out. I will be starting streaming on there very soon once I finish my setup, which has been taking so long, but Scott has been helping me with that, which I am very thankful about. But I'm really excited about that, as well as getting my website up really shortly. Promise you it is like almost done, so I'm just finalizing that. And I have a few other exciting plans that I won't share yet, but will share very soon on what they are in terms of the business and starting something very, very exciting, which I will be sharing more over on my Patreon channel. I'm going to be starting a little bit of a series over there. So if you want to head over there and just see some extra content and secret vlogs, I'll leave the information for that in the description box as well. Thank you so much for being here and listening/watching to this video. It was a little bit different and is probably not going to be picked up by that magical YouTube algorithm, but I don't really care because it's content that I like to make and I want to share with you all. So yeah, I'll probably continue making content like this and doing a little bit more podcast style episodes where we can just sit and chat and I can kind of answer questions and relate to you as my audience a little bit more. And hopefully next time there'll be a cat which is a little bit more in frame, because he's still just asleep here, just over outside the frame. But that's okay. I'm glad that he's sleeping and not playing with all of these cords that I have around for the microphone and everything. But anyway, I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much for watching/listening, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone.